Welcome to this practitioner analysis on the human architecture of deal-making. In M&A, we are trained to believe that numbers govern outcomes. We spend countless hours perfecting valuation models, synergy maps, and legal structures. But the hard truth of the corporate world is this. Synergies are calculated in spreadsheets, but mergers succeed or fail through human psychology. Today, we unpack Robert Greene's iconic first law of power, never outshine the master, through the lens of transaction dynamics. We will explore why egos are the ultimate deal killers, and why managing the invisible structures of authority is your single most critical asset in closing a deal. Robert Greene's philosophy is simple yet disruptive. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please and impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might inspire fear and insecurity. In a standard corporate setting, this is a rule for career survival. In M&A, it is a rule for transaction survival. When you negotiate a merger, you are combining dynasties, not just balance sheets. Every power center has its identity tied to the transaction. The moment a key stakeholder feels intellectually or structurally threatened, they stop evaluating the deal's economics and shift into self-preservation. An insecure master will quietly kill a transaction every time. Very deal operates on two entirely different organizational charts. On the left is the legal structure. This is the formal, transparent hierarchy, showing who reports to whom and who officially signs the papers. It is structured, legally binding, and visible in the virtual data room. But on the right is the invisible network. This is the real power structure. It is never written down, but it governs everything. It tells you who actually makes decisions, whose unofficial blessing is required, and who holds the quiet veto power to stall momentum. Often, the master is not the CEO on paper, but a legacy founder or an influential board chair. If you do not respect this invisible network, your deal is dead. When we study value-destructive mergers, we find spectacular failures of ego management. In the 2001 hydrogen phosphide compact deal, Carly Fiorina made herself the heroic center of the narrative, sidelining the founding family's legacy. Walter Hewlett fought back, leaving HP deeply fractured. In 2000, AOL entered its merger with Time Warner, declaring itself the inevitable future. Humiliated, legacy editors protected their territory, and the projected synergies vanished. Daimler's 1998 merger of equals with Chrysler quickly became a German acquisition in all but name, causing Chrysler's top talent to walk out. Finally, Kraft's 2010 hostile takeover of Cadbury ignored 187 years of heritage, destroying worker trust. Let's look at the gold standard of executive alignment. When Bob Iger took over as CEO of Disney in 2005, his most urgent objective was to acquire Pixar. The relationship under his predecessor had been hostile. Iger did not approach Pixar as a corporate conqueror. Instead, he applied Law 1 beautifully, through structural elevation. He gave Pixar's masters real institutional power. Steve Jobs became Disney's largest individual shareholder. Creative leader John Lasseter was given oversight of Disney's own animation engine, and Ed Catmull became president of both animation studios. By making the masters feel structurally secure and respected, Iger unlocked a decade of historic success. Let's scale this down to the everyday reality of advisory teams, in what we call the junior deal team trap. It starts when a brilliant associate spends 80 hours building a flawless model. Eager to impress, they present a major valuation insight directly to the client in a meeting, bypassing or overshadowing their managing director. This triggers a quiet, defensive response. The MD feels threatened, as their value is built on client relationships. The junior is slowly shifted off client-facing work to internal maintenance, wondering why their career has stalled. The fix? Share and validate insights with your MD before the meeting. Frame your brilliance as a tool to support their authority. Successful transactions require 4 distinct levels of approval. First, economics. The models must be bulletproof. Second, strategy. The combined entity must have a clear competitive advantage. Third, integration. You need a solid 100-day roadmap. But the fourth approval is the ultimate veto power. Respect. The power centers, both formal and informal, must feel safe, respected, and elevated. You can get the economics, strategy, and integration plans perfectly right, but if you violate this fourth pillar and trigger the insecurities of the masters, they will use their informal authority to tear down the other 3. The spreadsheet tells you if a deal should work. Psychology tells you if it will. As we close this analysis, run this quick diagnostic with your team before your next live deal meeting. First, who is the invisible master in this transaction? The person whose informal approval actually decides the final trajectory of this deal? Second, whose legacy, reputation, or identity feels quietly threatened by the way we are framing this transaction? Third, Did our recent communications inspire boardroom confidence? Or did we accidentally create deep strategic insecurity? And fourth, what ISO and operational change we can make to our structure or communication that makes our partners feel elevated rather than diminished? Thank you. And let us open the floor to discussion.